Solving systems of equations by substitution. This is just an easier way often to find solutions without having to deal with making a graph, and also it works really well if the solution might have decimals or fractions or something. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is we're going to take this equation. If it's not already set up where we've solved for one of the variables, then you have to do that first. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this other equation, 2x plus 3y equals 16. Now, every time I meet a y right here, I get to plug in what it's worth, which is 2x minus 8. Okay, so let's see how that works. We would get 2x plus 3 times y, but now instead of writing y, I'm going to write what it's worth, which is 2x minus 8, and that's equal to 16. Now I have an equation with just one variable, so I can solve it. Okay, let's go ahead and distribute our 3 to the 2x, and then the 3 times the 8 as well. So 2x plus 6x minus 24 equals 16. We can add 24 to both sides. So we have 8x. When we combine the 2x's and the 6x's, that gives us 8x is equal to 40. And then dividing through by 8, we would get x equals 5. Okay, we're not done yet because we also had an equation with y. So now we're going to have to go back to that top equation, y equals 2x minus 8. Okay, and here's the next step is we're going to plug the value we just found. We know now what x is worth. Okay, so we get to put in what it's worth into this equation. So now we have 2 times x, but x is worth 5, and then minus 8. So y is 2 times 5 is 10, 10 minus 8 is 2. Great. So I now have my solution. Okay, so that's an ordered pair. The x value is 5, the y value is 2, and that's my answer. I'm not feeling totally confident until I check it. So I just used the top equation here, so I'm pretty confident about that one, but I should check in the other equation. Okay, so we'll do 2 times x. I think x is worth 5 plus 3 times y, and y I think is worth 6, and that should be equal to 16. And this one does work. I did a good job here. I got 16 is equal to 16, so I'm feeling confident about my solution. All right, there is solving systems by substitution. Okay, if it isn't happened already, isolate one of the variables. Next step, substitute this expression in, and then we're going to plug our number, what we just found, what it's worth, plug it into our other equation, and then we'll check. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, let's see. It's not set up with y equals yet, so that's no big deal. I can just subtract 4x from both sides. So we would get y equals negative 4x plus 4. Okay, that is now set up. Okay, so every time I meet a y, now in my other equation, I can write down what it's worth. Okay, so I have 3x minus y, but now I'm going to replace that with negative 4x plus 4. Oh, okay, here, oops, this is like a little negative one. I've got to change the signs of everything in there. So it would be 3x plus 4x minus 4 equals 3. And then we're going to add 3 to both sides, or add 4, and we get 7x equals 7, so x equals 1. Okay, I'm halfway there. Now I'm going to plug that number that I just found. Now I know what x is worth. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in. It's negative 4 times x. Well, x is worth 1. Okay, so in that goes, and we get negative 4 plus 4, so y is worth 0. Okay, so what that tells me is I have this ordered pair. The x value is 1, the y value is 0. So there's my answer. All right, but I just want to double check. Okay, well, I did work on both of them. What I want to do is go back to the original typed problem before I did anything, because maybe I just made a little mistake at the very beginning when I subtracted 4x. So let's just go through and double check it on both. I'm going to check it on that one, and I'm going to check it on this one as well. Okay, so here we go. 4 times x, x is worth 1, plus y, y is worth 0. And that is good. All right, 3 times x, x is worth 1, minus y, y is worth 0. And that one works as well. All right, so I'm good. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, here we have, oh, this is already set up. Look at that. It's all good to go. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in. So this first one, 3x plus y, but now I get to put 3x plus 3 in there, right? That's what my y is worth. Okay. And then that is equal to negative 5. And now notice what happens. Negative 3x plus 3x, that's just 0. So then I get this thing that doesn't make any sense. That is false. All right, so inconsistent, those are the kinds of solutions where there's no solution. And when you're using algebra, what will happen is you'll just come out with something that just doesn't make any sense. That equation doesn't make sense. Okay, so there's inconsistent. And let's look at one where it is dependent. Remember, dependent, those are the same exact lines. They're hanging all over each other. They're always together, dependent lines. So those ones are the parallel lines, and those have infinite number of solutions. Okay, so let's see what happens with algebra when we have a dependent solution. Okay, so let's say that I didn't know what this was, and I'm just happily going along using substitution. I see it's set up with y equals, so I get to plug that in. Okay, so here's my equation. 9x minus 3y is equal to 12. Okay, but I'm going to replace y with that 3x minus 4. So here we go. 9x minus 3 times y. In goes my replacement, 3x minus 4. And that's equal to 12. And now we need to distribute our negative 3. So we get 9x minus 9x. And then negative 3 times negative 4 would be positive 12. Okay, and just copying the rest of that equals 12. And here you can see that our 9x minus 9x, those just cancel. So then I would have, or they add up to 0, really, right? Okay, so 12 equals 12, that is true. Okay, and what that means is it's an infinite number of solutions. All right, go ahead and try if you want to just make sure you know what you're doing on these. Okay, so pause the video and see what you can come up with on these. All right, here we should get 6, 2 for that first one, and then the other one we should get negative 3, negative 1. So see if you can figure out, if you got those, that's great. If not, go back and pause and see if you can figure out what you did wrong. All right, give yourself a little bit of time to think about it. Go ahead and pause. Okay, I'll go ahead and show my work on how I got those.